Of all the animes that is currently airing right now, To Your Eternity feels like the type of show that nobody seems to talk about for some reason. For the people who don't know what To Your Eternity is all about, To Your Eternity follows this orb that turns into a wolf, that turns into a dude who's named Fushi. And Fushi's journey across multiple parts of the world and multiple generations of people. Fushi's main purpose of life, given by literal God, is to keep in track of humans and just try to experience as much of humanity as possible. To the point where, by the end of it all, by the end of humanity, Fushi will be the person to carry on that legacy of being human. The show is constructed in a way where every arc is defined by certain sets of characters, and when the arc ends, usually some characters just leave Fushi, whether it's death or whether it's just simply leaving him because they have better shit to do. It's an interesting concept, and it's not necessarily innovative per se, because I could think of other shows that follow the same type of story development. But what makes To Your Eternity very interesting is that To Your Eternity is full of morals that the author wants to tell the audience about the purpose of life, about comings and goings of people in general, among other things. It's a very interesting and educational show, sort of like how Last Girls Tour. The thing with To Your Eternity that I feel like feeds to the reason why people don't talk about it as much is that animation wise, it's very plain. Although technically it's an action anime, action comes every 5 episodes, and even when that happens, it looks good, but you wouldn't compare it to like Mappa Studios doing Jujutsu Kaisen, or even as well directed as how Madhouse Studios does their anime. Brain Base is a good studio. I'm not saying that they're bad, but visually, To Your Eternity looks very, very mid. The opening is very, very mid. The story, I feel, can do so much more. It has such a interesting concept of an immortal being going through human life. I just want to read the manga so much because I feel like the anime doesn't do it as much justice that it should. Now, I'm not saying that the adaptation is a bad one. I think it's very, very acceptable. But I think that's the point. The fact that the story is an incredible story about such an interesting concept, but the adaptation is very mediocre and the music is mediocre and the visuals are mediocre. It sort of lets the story down a little bit.